Hello everyone, my name is Joshua and this is the 189th video on my video journal series. Today's date is Sunday, the 16th of August 2026. How's everyone been? I've been pretty good, thank you. And today I pretty much did the same old, here on my laptop, doing some uni work, reading, working on my first round of assignments. And tomorrow I gotta go into uni to work on that portrait feature piece I've mentioned earlier before in this series. All those photos that I took on Friday, I got to edit them, put in a magazine style feature, and that assignment's due on Friday. So wish me luck. But I'm pretty much booked Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday as well. So it's a pretty busy week ahead of me. I just got to cope with that, I guess. But something that's been on my mind recently is that it's been like a while since I've actually watched TV. Now, in my garage, I call this place the garage. I have two TVs. You're not able to see it if you're watching this video, but I have two TVs right behind this camera. Both are plugged into an aerial antenna, and I've got I say I, but it's my parents. My parents have a TV in the living room and then one in their bedroom. So technically in my household, there are four working TVs, excluding the TV I have in my bedroom that's not hooked up to an aerial. I just use it for retro games. So technically, I could argue five TVs in my household, but I don't really watch TV anymore. I mean, my mum usually flicks on the telly around midday, but she uses it as like background noise while she scrolls like Facebook. So she's not like actively watching TV. And I have very distinct memories growing up watching Saturday morning kids cartoons before school, whatever was on TV late at night. Old Doctor Who episodes. It's all coming back now, but I sort of miss that magic, Nowadays, everyone has streaming, You can access any TV show, film at your fingertips, and most kids nowadays just watch things on their iPad. I was one of those kids, but at least my parents were strict on what hours of the day I could use my iPad. But, I don't know. I guess, that sort of restriction, right? Where you have certain TV programs on at certain hours, that kind of added to the magic or fun of things, The anticipation of waiting for your favorite show to come on and watching it on the big screen. I don't mean the theater screen, I mean, um, the flat screen TV I have installed in my house, or I guess many people have installed in their homes. It's rare that anyone uses CRTs for TV watching anymore, unless it's your grandparents. um, but yeah, I just really miss that experience, and unfortunately, I feel like that experience is yet again gone with the age of ultra convenience, and the fact that there's not really much on TV nowadays. There's only a handful of programs that I watch with my mom, if they're on, but it's rare that I ever watch TV alone because I want to catch in the newest episode of Pokemon, for example. One of those is Hard Quiz. It's an Australian sort of game show that is on the ABC where contestants pick their professional subjects, so like pop culture things, like Star Wars, I don't know, Pokemon, or it could be like classical music, the Mona Lisa painting, just anything that they're interested in, and then they're basically quizzed questions on their expert subject. So it's kind of like reverse Jeopardy, where you could sort of determine your success depending on how well you know the subject that you've chosen. But anyway, I like watching that show, and it's pretty much the only thing I watch on TV, when it's on. And regular Jeopardy is on SBS, so I like to tune into that. But yet again, I can easily watch those shows elsewhere. Hard Quiz is on ABC iView, Jeopardy, YouTube. So yeah, it's pretty much like a novelty sort of thing, Like, oh, hey, it's on, I'll tune into it, But I wouldn't actively sort of go out saying, oh, I missed the newest episode of Hard Quiz, I need to, watch it on YouTube sort of thing. As much as I like that show, I guess it's not really sort of the top of my priorities. And same with like anything on TV, It's not like you people sort of like say, "Oh, I'm gonna wait for I don't know, Shawshank Redemption to air 7 o'clock this Sunday." You know, when you could easily just boot up a streaming service and type in Shawshank Redemption, and you're able to watch the movie instantly. You know, and yet again, that's the magic I feel like has been lost. You know, waiting for something to release. You know, the journey in of itself, that sort of anticipation adds to the value. You know, it's when you had to like, you know, sort of go to a physical brick and mortar store to rent out a videotape or to buy a video game. That sort of thing, which I feel has like been lost with the advent of the internet. But anyway, I digress. I'm sounding like an old man now. But yeah, I guess like I was really part of the last generation to grow up watching TV. I'm not saying that Gen Alpha don't watch TV, but I'll say like the bulk majority, um, watch YouTube, and I was one of those kids who watched YouTube. But um, you know, I remember like those days where I'll wake up and watch Pokemon early in the morning. That was actually one thing that got me, you know, up early in the morning. Cartoons. It could be like Pokemon or whatever, like indie cartoon that they had on, whatever kids channels now. My memory's a little bit foggy, but I know that ABC Me, which was formerly ABC Free, for any of you veterans out there that remember ABC Free. That one got, I believe, merged or shut down. Sorry, I think it got shut down. That dedicated kids channel that they had on the ABC. By that I mean like teens, and now it's like ABC Entertains. And I remember when they announced that, yeah, we're shutting down like our pre-teen sort of TV channel, and now it's just going to be like ABC Entertains, which I don't know what ABC Entertains is. I think it's just like an extra, like you know, TV or movie channel that they have on the ABC. But I remember when they announced that, I'm like, well, that's another nail in the coffin for, I guess, trying to attract young people to watch TV. And even like kids shows on TVs nowadays. I guess you see like Bluey, Peppa Pig. I used to remember growing up watching Ponyo, that show. I used to watch all the weird sort of shows that my dad thought were okay for kids, like Rocco's Modern Life. um, I don't think he showed me Ren and Stimpy, but I wouldn't be surprised. And I also watch like Jimmy Neutron and all those TV shows. It's all coming back to me now. It's all coming back in that specific aspect. There's still some gaps within my knowledge, but anyway, yeah. What else about TV? I don't know. Just I really wish TV had more exclusive content nowadays. At least here in Australia, I know in other countries, TV is, I guess, more prevalent, if you know what I mean. Japanese TV is a whole nother thing in of itself. Side story. I remember when I went to Japan, bringing this up for the millionth time, but I tuned in to watch Japanese TV, and it's really weird, right? Being able to turn on the telly and you suddenly like get anime, but it's without subtitles. Like I'm like, hey, this is a real thing. Oh wait, there's no English subtitles. Well, duh, it's in Japan, but it was always a delight because they have like those weird Japanese game shows. I was about to say Takeshi's Castle, but I don't think they're like airing that anymore. And all these like weird game shows that you see online, but you finally get to like watch in person. And to me, that kind of like evokes those childhood memories of turning on the TV and seeing like what there is, that sort of excitement. Because Japanese TV is so different to everything else. Um, like every channel you flick through is like something completely different. But now I just trying to like remember all those like crazy TV shows which I saw in Japan. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. I'm gonna leave that book closed. But yeah, you know what I mean. Like, just having that sort of excitement of not knowing what's on TV, or maybe just waiting days for a film. And I know back in like the ancient days, they used to use VCRs and they used to like tape TV show and movie recordings. I also miss that as well. My dad actually taped some episodes of Ponyo onto VHS, and like Bananas in Pajamas, another classic Australian TV show. The live action one, that is. The animated series is okay, but um, I've heard like a lot of people say animated Bananas and Pajamas isn't like good. I watched it as a kid; it's okay, but I do prefer the original source, the live action Bananas and Pajamas. If for those living outside of Australia, they'd be very very confused to what I'm talking about, but trust me, it all makes sense. It all makes sense. Uh, I'm not gonna. All right, Bananas and Pajamas is this Australian kids show where it has two main characters, B1 and B2. They're literally living bananas in pajamas, and it follows their everyday life, being bananas in pajamas. I know Australia has pretty weird kids TV shows. Um, in some aspects, I guess, like weirder than Japanese kids TV shows. I don't know why that is. You know, uh, yeah. Oh, another program I used to watch on TV. Play School. Play School's still prevalent. The Australian version, that is. I think it's the second longest running kids TV show of all time. I might be mistaken, but it's been running since like the 60s. It's been around for a long time. I feel like every kid's grown up with like Play School or Sesame Street. Um, those sort of shows, and those sort of shows that sort of like define my childhood. And oh yes, this is what I was about to talk about before I got sidetracked. I think TV is a great way for getting kids to wake up early in the morning. That's one advantage of TV. Like the only reason I used to wake up early in the morning was to watch TV, whatever was on at 6 o'clock. But now I set my alarm for 6, and I wake up and I'm like, all right, I'll sleep till 7, or 8 o'clock. So I guess that's the importance of TV. Gets kids to wake up early in the morning. We still need educational programming on TV. We need decent quality kids shows on TV and not just streaming platforms. Um, you know, Free to air TV is still very, very important. And, yet again, I am sort of saddened to see, I guess, TV in such big decline, because even like the exclusive sort of shows that they do have, like TV shows like The Block, for instance, don't really interest me anymore, and they've been doing like the exact same thing over and over and over again. I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here. And now I'm just naming reality shows that I don't like, but they haven't changed, and they just repeat the same formula. Like, honestly, who even watches? I mean, I don't mean this in like a very negative way, but like, who actively watches these drama shows? Because the exact same thing just happens over and over and over again. So yeah, there needs to be good quality programming, even if it's just reruns of old stuff. I used to watch a lot of reruns on TV, old Pokemon episodes. I used to remember they aired the 60s Batman series on, I think it was SBS, which was pretty cool. SBS actually has a lot of good stuff on TV. They occasionally air anime films. I remember they showed Your Name one time on the air, and I think around it was 2019, and back before my time in the 90s, actually showed like Evangelion and all that. Yes, Neon Genesis Evangelion, airing on SBS in like the late 90s or early 2000s. Mind you, this was only like a few years after the series had like premiered. And I think it was the first time the series was released in Australia. And I'm proud that my tax dollars go towards a good quality anime being broadcast on our television screens. So yeah, SBS, ABC, they still have good stuff here in Oz. It's one of the very few channels that I go to whenever I turn on the telly. And even then, you gotta like look out, for those sort of things. You kind of like have to plan it in advance, saying, all right, this film's showing Sunday at 8 o'clock. I'm gonna tune in, watch it. TV guides are extremely useful for, I guess, locating that specific program. And I feel like even though I could watch like that specific program on like streaming, I know there's SBS on demand, ABC iView, and all that. Like even TV channels have streaming platforms now, which is weird. Um, I if I can, I'm like, hey, well, I know I can watch this on the app, but if it's coming up on TV in a few minutes, then maybe I'll watch it on TV, even though I have ads and all that show the occasional ad break. I kind of enjoy that sort of authenticity and that like sort of experience, right? Where you know you sort of go out of your way to access this thing, and even if you don't like that specific TV program or movie, you're like, well, I guess I got the experience of turning on the TV and like I don't know what it is. Maybe I just prefer the bigger screen on the TV. I don't know. Maybe it just kind of reminds me of a cinema, a nice big flat screen TV. I kind of hate just watching stuff on my phone or computer nowadays because I constantly have to if I'm watching things on my phone, I have to constantly like bend my head and all that. So yeah, there's still some things that I guess TV remains better at. And I know you can stream stuff onto your TV, like all that streaming, like Netflix and Amazon Prime. But I mean, catching shows as they broadcast on TV, and I guess like wrapping things up, just that sort of TV experience, right? Even just like flicking through the channels, just seeing what's on. Um, it kind of like here's another point that I want to like I guess end on. It kind of like mitigates that sort of procrastination that you experience on streaming platforms. I don't know if that's the right term, but you ever been on like Netflix or Amazon Prime, just scroll, 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 nothing's interesting you, um, and you end up spending like half an hour or even a full hour just trying to find what to watch. With TV, right? You scroll, you flick through the channels, but I feel like that sort of like primitiveness, right? Where whatever's on is on. You're like, all right, well, channel 32 has this interesting program. I just gotta watch this program while I wait for this other program to start in maybe an hour or two, and you end up watching something that you like, and you're like, hey, I would have never watched that program, if it was just a option on Netflix or an option on a streaming platform. So sometimes when you're waiting for something to air on TV, you just like watch another program or you flick to a channel that you never watch, and you end up like you know experimenting, and you end up like finding stuff that you have never been able to watch or never been you know even like thinking about watching whatever's on, um, had it not been for, I guess, that sort of primitiveness, I'm going to call it primitiveness, of TV. Like, case in point, if I wanted to watch Top Gear as a kid, which, like, yet again, aired late at night, I have to, wait quite a while, like 6 o'clock is when all the kids, stuff ended. And if it aired like at, I don't know, 8 o'clock or something, I had to like, spend 2 hours just trying to find something decent to watch. And usually I'll land on Doctor Who on the ABC. And it's because of that, where I had to, sort of pass the time by watching another program. I'm like, hey, I really like this program. I really like Doctor Who. It's been a while since I've watched it, but I remember the David Tennant series, when he was a doctor. Remember watching those episodes, and it intrigued me as a child, even though that some of those episodes like really freaked me out because watching Doctor Who late at night really did things to 6-year-old me or 10-year-old me. Yeah, never get that out of my mind. Some of the scary episodes, but anyway, yeah, that's enough of me talking. Yet again, though, I really cherish the TV experience, even with all its like limitations and all of that. I feel like that just adds to the experience and adds to the value of watching TV. Much like in the way of you actively go into a brick and mortar store to get something, or really just focusing on the journey and not so much about the product itself. Now, obviously, it is extremely convenient to have everything at your fingertips, to have everything on streaming. It's like if I just want to watch a movie, I'll just boot up streaming and I'll just watch that specific movie. But at the same time, I really wish there were, more intriguing programs on TV and more sort of exclusives. Um, and yeah, again, I think that's just how society changes and all that. I think they should just have like a channel here in Australia just dedicated to like broadcasting Japanese game shows and all that, because I feel like they'll actually have a market. Um, I know like there are some channels that are just like dedicated towards like a specific thing, like radio broadcasts or foreign news and all that. I feel like there could be some more channel specific, I guess, like things, or maybe like international broadcasts, or maybe if they just did like an anime channel, where they just like have like non-stop anime. That would intrigue the younger generation, like me, for instance. But at the same time, I guess nowadays, um, you know, genres and I guess things such as movies, TV show, anime, and all that have come so, I guess, big that it would be impossible to air even like all the top shows um, on, I guess, TV, if you know what I mean. Like, back in the day when you turned on the telly, you saw all the major shows, all the major movies, and all that. It was really hard to find like niche stuff. That's why I'm kind of grateful for, the internet, trying to find that sort of niche. Um, so in some ways, I guess like the industry has like sort of transformed itself or grown like really dependent on streaming and the internet and all that, and that's just how things rock and roll. It's how change occurs. But I really wish they yet again don't. I guess focus more on putting like good quality content on TV instead of the same old reality shows and all that, even if they're just reruns. And TV, yet again, just remains important for news. Those who don't have access to the internet, the elderly who just want to flick on the news and just turn on, I don't know, ABC, Nine News or whatever. And yeah, and I guess it's also good for background noise, isn't it? But yeah, that's pretty much all I've really wanted to say about my experiences with TV and how I kind of miss um, TV nowadays. But um, maybe I've talked yet again. I said I was going to end this video, but I keep on blabbing. I know I've talked previously before about like how everyone's reverting back to old technology now. Maybe TV will be one of them. Maybe there'll be like a massive trend where people will be like, hey, let's go watch TV now. Let's turn on the radio and see what FDR has to say. I don't know why I used that analogy. I just thought of like an old person, in the 1940s, tuning into what then US President FDR had to say on the radio, fireside chats. And I guess, I can make a whole nother entry about radio, but, radio's still used today. In fact, radio's really good if you just want to listen to music, obviously. But, even like stuff like podcasts, for instance, like digital radio and, all that jazz. But I guess, with TV, I think it's just got to find a way to reinvent itself. But anyway, that's enough of me talking. If you stayed to the end of the video, yet again, thank you. And yeah, I guess I'll catch you all next time. Bye, see you, take care. Catch you all tomorrow. Thank you.